I want to die naturally, not with a medical cause. Abbas Kiarostami was a multifaceted artist who made a lasting impression on the Iranian film industry as a director, a screenwriter, photographer, and film producer. Internationally acclaimed director, Kiarostami received more than 100 prestigious awards and nominations globally, notably the Golden Palm at Cannes Film Festival in 1997, Japan's Medal of Honor in 2013, and Australian Decoration for Science and Art in 2014. Moreover, he has been a jury member in several festivals such as Cannes Film Festival, Venice Film Festival, and Locarno International Film Festival.
I'm sorry, I don't really know where to begin. You know, we finally get together and say hello, and the whole group together, and I see this guy, he's cool. He's got those glasses on, you know. He didn't say anything. I'm saying, all right. You know, elegant, eloquent, very quiet, very careful with his words. You know, always thoughtful and always studying everything.
Abbas Kiarostami was born on June 22, 1940 in Tehran. He went to the University of Tehran School of Fine Arts and majored in painting and graphic design. Kiarostami started his artistic career by making advertisements and designing the credit titles of movies. His collaboration with Masoud Kimiai in creating the credit title of Qaisar can be considered a very important checkpoint in Kiarostami's professional life. In 1965, Layli Amir-Arjomand, under the direct supervision of Farah Diba, established an Iranian institution with a wide range of cultural and artistic activities in the field of mental and cultural development for children and young adults. The great Ehsan Yarshater suggested that this institute is called the Center for the Intellectual Development of Child and Adolescent, or simply Kanon. Abbas Kiarostami helped set up a filmmaking department at Kanon, and with the support of Firuz Shiranlu, he made his first film in Kanon entitled Bread and Ali.
شیروانلو که رئیس اینا بود اومد به من گفت خانم یه فیلم البته فکر نمی کنم فستیوالی باشه حالا ببینیم بذاریمش یا نذاریم. خلاصه یه سالن فیلم من داشتم که همه این چیزای فستیوال خودم همه رو میدیدم. رفتم این فیلم رو برام گذاشتن. وقتی تموم شد گفتم آقای شیروانلو نه فقط این فیلم رو تو فستیوال میدیم، شب اول موقع که اولی حضرت شهبانو میان افتتاح کنن اون شب نشونش میدیم.
Returning from an errand to buy bread, a boy finds a menacing dog blocking his way through the alley he must pass to get home. Frightened by the dog's barking, he asks various passers-by for help, but no one pays him any attention, and he must find a solution all by himself. He throws the dog a piece of bread, and while the animal is devouring it, he continues on his way home. Abbas Kiarostami loved Iran's poetical cinema, a cinema that had pioneers like Forough Farrokhzad, Sohrab Shahid Sales, and Parviz Kimiavi. In 1972, Kiarostami made a short movie called Recess. This film was his second film in Kanon. Little by little, Abbas Kiarostami became an established filmmaker in Kanon and made his first feature film, The Experience, in 1973. This movie depicts the Lacanian jouissance experience of the first love for a teenage boy called Mamad. Mamad, an orphaned teenager, works as a messenger boy in a photographic studio where he also sleeps at night. He falls platonically in love with a girl from a wealthier class. One day, thinking he sees her smiling at him, he decides to go to her house and ask for a job as a servant. So that he can be closer to her, but he receives only a decisive refusal. In 1974, Kiarostami made his fourth film, The Traveler. This movie brought fame for Kiarostami in cinema magazines.
حالا حواست کجا می؟ هیچ جا حواسم را تهران بید. تهران؟ آره. تهران برشیده؟ آره اونجا. برشی کنی؟ سال مسابقه. مسابقه نیمت مالان؟ آره. بهشون میگیشی؟ میگم خونه شما بیدم. خونه ای ما؟ آره. چی امتحان فارسی داریم؟ امتحان فارسی میده رو لغتا شاده میکنه. پوله کجا میاری؟ پول؟
Abolqasem Julai is a grade school-age boy neglected by his parents, lies, cheats and steals to accumulate enough money to afford a bus ride to a large city and a ticket to see his favorite soccer team play. In the end, he can make it to the stadium. Although he misses the game, he is still one of the victorious characters in Iran's cinema who reaches his goal.
جایزه مخصوص هیئت داوری مجسمه طلایی فستیوال به مسافر از ایران به کارگردانی عباس کیارستمی.
Abbas Kiarostami continued his collaboration with Kanon and made one or two educational movies each year. In 1976, Kiarostami made a wedding suit in collaboration with Kanon.
اینم که مثل کت شلوار تنشه.
چه میدونم والا انتخاب خودش. هر چی رو اون دوست داشته باشه من نمیگم. به خاطر اینکه اینا باید پای خودشون بیستن. زندگیشون رو بتونن برای خودشون بسازن. آینده درسش رو باید انتخاب کنه، شغلش رو باید انتخاب کنه، باید بدونه چه جوری همسر باید انتخاب بکنه برای زندگیش، چی میخواد، رو پای خودش بیسته. اینو دوست دارم من. در مورد اولادام عقیده من اینه.
A woman orders a suit from a tailor for her young son to wear to her sister's wedding. The tailor's apprentice, together with two other teenage boys who work in the same building, devise a plan to try on the suit at night to see what it feels like. Things get a little complicated, but in the morning, at the last possible minute, they manage to return the suit to its proper place. In this movie, Kiarostami takes the audience directly to the lives of the lower-class families of Iran's society, and his observational documentary style shows us some of the daily routines of this society. This movie turned Kiarostami into an author filmmaker who has a special style and signature in his filmmaking. Kiarostami is renowned for his minimalistic style, which conveys the idea of exploring the complexities of human experience. His works are characterized by compelling narratives, imaginative expression, the use of non-professional actors, and an evocative use of slow cinema that employs fixed cameras and prolonged takes. He often incorporates modern Iranian poetry into his narratives and film dialogues, while dealing with themes of fact versus fiction, identity, alienation, and humanity's complex relationship with nature. His use of child protagonists, specific shots and dialogues that take place inside cars, and documentary-style narratives set in rural locations create a favorable environment in which to present ideas about life and death, as well as about the continuity and change of human nature. In 1977, Kiarostami collaborated with Iran Film Industries Development Company and with Bahman Farmanara as a producer. He made a feature film entitled The Report, which starred Shohreh Aghdashlu. Kiarostami is purely objective in The Report, and his movie becomes a documentary of the life we have. The man in the movie reminds us of the stranger of Kamo, and Kiarostami's viewpoint towards him is the same as Kamo's. His exact narration of the reality is so good that upon viewing this movie, you think that you're watching through a window the lives and the catastrophe which is happening in the small cage-like apartments.
آقا حق و حقیقتی هم هست. من خود دروغ نمیگم. 40 سال روزگار از خدا عمر گرفتم و تو این دنیا زندگی کردم با حق و حقانیت. اگرم خیلی دیگه تو این دنیا عمر بکنم 20 سال. اون وقت میام دروغ بگم. 1000 بار گفتم کسی که حق و حقانیت نداشته باشه کارش رو راست در نمیاد. ما مگه این تو دنیا به یه چیزو که رسیدیم به خاطر حقیقتی بوده که داشتیم. من 5 تا بچه دارم. به جون یکیشون نباشه، به جون 5 تاشون اگر بخوام به اندازه یتواله مگر حق و ناحق بکنم و مشغول زندگی کسی بشم. بهش میگم آقای فیروزکویی، تو جوونی رحم داشته باش. اگر میتونی کمتر رو بنویسی بنویس. یا دوری نمیره. از جیف ما به جیف دورت لبا نیست. گفت نمیشه. وقتی که نوشته گفتم باریکلا به تو جوونی. چطور 5000 تومان از من رشوه و حق بگیری میتونی کمتر بنویسی، اما حالا که میگم نه برمیداری 30,000 تومان مالیات منو بیشتر بنویسی.
The Report is the story of a civil servant at the Ministry of Finance, Firuzkoui, who is accused of taking bribes at the same time as his marriage is crumbling and his wife is threatening to leave him. This movie is the story of a middle-class family who is experiencing a sudden fall to a lower class.
نرفتی با اون بگیری یه خاکی تو سرمون بریزی؟
با این پولایی شکاری نمیشه کرد.
ناهیدینا مگه چقدر دارن خیال میکنی؟ اونام 60 تومن دارن دیگه. تو اینو بگیر بقیه‌شو یه جور جور میکنم.
تو بقیه‌شو جور کن، منم وامو میگیرم.
خونه مامانم میارو میذاریم گیرو.
مگه بدهی نداره؟
چرا؟ وامو میگیریم سندشو آزاد میکنیم دوباره وام میگیریم. ناهیدینا میخوان همین کارو بکنن.
چقدر بدهی داره؟
40-45 تا.
In 1979, Kiarostami produced and directed First Case, Second Case. Kiarostami showed this film to the Shah's educational experts and filmed their opinions in 1979. Shooting was nearly complete when on February 1st, Khomeini arrived in Tehran and 10 days later declared an Islamic Republic. Kiarostami set about reimaging the film, junking the previous commentaries and changing the structure. Kiarostami decided to turn the film into a dramatized dilemma. First case involved pupils refusing to name the guilty party. In second case, one of the pupils names the culprit and is allowed to return to the classroom.
فرزند شما یکی از این دانش آموزان است. شما از او چه انتظاری دارید؟ آیا باید به معلم بگوید چه کسی بوده کلاس را به هم می‌زده و بعد برود سر جایش بنشیند و یا چیزی نگوید و تا آخر هفته مقاومت کند؟
All of the new observers, including the new education minister and members of political parties, will film commenting on the two cases. The film was banned after its premiere and disappeared from view for decades until June 2009, when it reappeared and became widely distributed on the web. In the early 1980s, Kiarostami directed several short films including Toothache, Orderly or Disorderly, and The Chorus. In 1983, he directed Fellow Citizen. It was not until his release of Where is the Friend's Home in 1987 that he began to gain recognition outside Iran.
وقتی میگم مشق تو دفترتون بنویسید علتی داره. اول اونکه هر کار باید یک نظم داشته باشه. دوم اینکه مشق امروزتون ما بتونیم با مشق دو ماه قبل مقایسه کنیم. این دفتر مشق احمدپوره. این مشق امروزش هست. همه میبینن. این هم مشق دو ماه قبلشه. این هم مشق دو ماه قبلشه. میبینن همه؟ پس فهمیدین برای چی گفتن که مشق تو دفترتون بنویسین؟ چون فهمیدین نمی‌تونه این آخرین بارت باشه. دفعه دیگه از این کار اگر چه بکنین تو رو از مدرسه اخراج می‌کنیم.
This film tells a simple account of an 8-year-old schoolboy's quest to return his friend's notebook in neighboring village lest his friend be expelled from school.
مادر من دفتر معرضه رو برداشتم باید ببرمش بدم. بشین نقشتو بکن.
The traditional beliefs of Iranian rural people are portrayed. The film has been noted for its poetic use of the Iranian rural landscape and its realism. Kiarostami made the film from a child's point of view. In the same year, Kiarostami was involved in the screenwriting and editing of The Key, a movie which was directed by Ebrahim Fruzesh. In 1989, Kiarostami made another educational documentary for Kanon entitled Homework.
تو مدرسه چی؟ تو خونه چی؟ پدر مادرت چی؟
پدر مادرم میزه.
A year later in 1990, Kiarostami made Close Up.
ماجرای عجیب غریب و پیچیده‌ایه. حالا خدمت عالی عرض شدم که بنده خدایی به نام محسن مخملباف رفته خودشو به نام محسن مخملباف جهاز مخملباف میشناسید شما؟
بازاریه؟
نه بازاری نیست بابا.
دست چپ داره؟
دست چپ داره. مخملباف بازاری نیست، مخملباف
فیلمساز
کارگردانه. نمیشه زیر شما. همین که آخرین فیلمش وایسی که تو آخرین فیلمش
وقت سینما رفتن نداره.
واسه همچین برای دیگه این کارگردانه، واسه چهرهش زیاد مردم نمیشناسن، به خاطر همین آدمی به همین نام رفته توی خونه ریخته کرده خودشو مخملباف کرده. بعدم نسبت به اون خونه مثلا یه طراحیایی داره، یه کارهایی داره تو اون خونه میکنه. آدمایی رو که منحصر به عنوان کارگردان به عنوان هنرپیشه انتخاب کرده خونه رو به نام
تنها فیلمی است که تو فیلم‌های من دوستش دارم، نه به لحاظ اینکه من ساختمش. حالا من هیچ نظری راجع به کل فیلمام ندارم، ولی این فیلم به نظرم فیلم متفاوتیه، برای اینکه اینقدر سریع همه چی اتفاق افتاد و اینقدر موضوع قوی بود و اینقدر من دنبالش میدویدم در طول 40 روز فیلم برداری که وقتی فیلم آماده شد و من رفتم از شب اول فستیوال موقع باز شدن فیلم، رفتم از توی اتاق پروژکسیون، اتاق سالن نمایش نگاه کنم، صدا رو چک بکنم. یه مدتی ایستادم و بعد آروم تو تاریکی صندلی پیدا کردم نشستم و تا آخر فیلم تماشا کردم، کاری که تا حالا هیچ وقت سر فیلمام نکرده بودم. و بعد دیدم که اصلا توجه نکردم به اینکه تماشاچی‌ها کی رفتن بیرون، کی اومد، کی خندید، کی نخندید، کی هیچی. اصلا واقعا تماشاچی فیلم بودم. یعنی تماشاچی اعتبارش برام در اون لحظه از بین رفت، چیزی که همیشه داره و تب می‌کنم واقعا وقتی توی که از فیلم‌ها میرم یه تماشاچی از سینما رفت بیرون تصور می‌کنم که فیلم بده.
Close Up narrates the story of the real-life trial of a man who impersonated filmmaker Mohsen Makhmalbaf, conning a family into believing they would star in his new film. The family suspects theft as the motive for this act but the impersonator, Hossein Sabzian, argues that his motives were more complex. The part documentary, part staged film examines Sabzian's moral justification for usurping Makhmalbaf's identity, questioning his ability to sense his cultural and artistic flair.
آقای سبزیان که آقای سبزیان اون آقای سبزیان نیست. انشالله که شما ایشونو با یه چشم دیگه نگاه کنید.
Ranked number 42 in the British Film Institute's the top 50 greatest films of all time, Close Up received praise from directors such as Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, Werner Herzog, Jean-Luc Godard, and Nanni Moretti, and was released across Europe. The Iran-Iraq War ended on August 20, 1990. The devastating consequences of this war were almost 1 million deaths for both countries. In the same year, an earthquake in the northern part of Iran killed over 30,000 people. 2 years later, in 1992, Kiarostami made the movie And Life Goes On. This film is the story of a director and his son who returned to a region damaged by the Gilan earthquake, hoping to find the children who appeared in the film Where the Friend's Home. This movie was screened in the Un certain regard section at the 1992 Cannes Film Festival. That year, Kiarostami won a Roberto Rossellini Prize, the first professional film award of his career, for his direction of the film.
خب بگو ببینم. یکم تعریف کن ببینم.
اسکاتلند یه گل زد.
بابا زلزله رو میگم. فوتبال چیه؟
یه زلزله اومد. خونه رو سرمون. و ما فرار کردیم اومدیم بیرون. این دیوارا همه ریختن تو دروازه توی حیاط. بعد هوا خاک بلند شد همه جا خاک شد.
In 1994, Kiarostami made Through the Olive Trees, which expands a peripheral scene from And Life Goes On into the central drama.
من محمد علی کشاورز هستم، بازیگر که در این فیلم نقش کارگردان رو بازی میکنم. سایر بازیگران همه محلی هستن. ما الان در محلی هستیم به اسم کوکر، تقریباً 350 کیلومتری تهران که سال گذشته زلزله نسبتاً شدید اینجا رو به کلی ویران کرد.
بچه‌ها گرسنه‌ان، راهشون هم دوره. اگر ممکنه یکم سریع‌تر.
This movie is the romantic story of Hossein and Tahereh. Tahereh's grandmother refuses Hossein's proposal due to not owning a house. On the night of this refusal, an earthquake destroys the whole village.
Kiarostami turned his camera toward the faces and lives of Iranians whose existence were an expression of love, beauty, and humanity, deeply contradicting the ugly politics and the religious fervor which were defining the Iranian identity at the time. To my eyes, Kiarostami became the saving grace of a nation which battled with isolation in the world, yet psychological, political, and economic suffocation at home. Kiarostami gave Iranians hope. It helped us take pride for being who we are.
This film is considered by many critics the last film of the Koker trilogy. Although Kiarostami did not believe in this trilogy, many have considered Where Is My Friend's Home and Life Goes On and Through the Olive Trees form the trilogy called Koker. Critics such as Adrian Martin have called the style of filmmaking in the Koker trilogy as diagrammatical, linking the zigzagging patterns in the landscape and the geometry of forces of life and the world. In 1995, Miramax film released Through the Olive Trees in the US theaters.
اسم شما چیه؟ نگاه کن.
آقا ببخشید، اینجا دوست ندارن که اسم دختر یا زن رو که به یه آدم غریبه بگن. اینجا رسمی نیست.
In 1995, Kiarostami wrote 2 screenplays. One was The Journey, which was directed by Alireza Raisian, and the other was The White Balloon, which was directed by Jafar Panahi. Kiarostami was among the 40 filmmakers of the movie Lumiere and Company. In this documentary, these filmmakers were asked to make a short film using Lumiere Brothers cinematograph. Moreover, he with 6 other filmmakers made the movie Apropos de Nice, La Suite. This movie was about various short films about the city of Nice. In 1996, Kiarostami was awarded Officier de la Légion d'honneur from Ministry of Culture and Art of France. In 1997, he wrote and directed Taste of Cherry. It is the drama of a man, Mr. Badi, determined to commit suicide, and he is in search of someone who can bury him under a cherry tree after he died.
ببین پسر جون، من اگر جای تو بودم نمیپرسیدم کار چیه، پرسیدم پولش چقدر. آدمی در وضعیت تو پول براش مهمه، نه نوع کار. کاره. راحت بگیری راحته، سخت بگیری سخته. البته کارش هم کار معمولی نیست، ولی خب پولش هم معمولی نیست. 10 دقیقه کار میکنی، به اندازه 6 ماه یه کارگر پول میگیری. این برات باید مهم باشه.
پس کار شما چیه مثلا؟
دیگه بیشتر از این چی میخوای؟ نوع کارش برات مهم نیست، پولش چقدره؟
خب باید بدونم کار شما چیه مثلا.
The film involved themes such as morality, the legitimacy of the act of suicide, and the meaning of compassion. Abbas Kiarostami won the Golden Palm for Best Film for this film at the Cannes Film Festival.
Le goût de la cerise réalisé par Abbas Kiarostami.
Ce fut la surprise du dernier festival de Cannes. Abbas Kiarostami, réalisateur iranien inconnu du grand public, décroche une palme d'or ex aequo. Lui qui écrit, réalise et monte ses films tout seul, faute de moyens, acquiert du jour au lendemain une reconnaissance mondiale.
Kiarostami directed The Wind Will Carry Us in 1999, which won the Grand Jury Prize at the Venice International Film Festival. The film contrasted rural and urban views on the dignity of labor, addressing themes of gender equality and the benefits of progress by means of a stranger's sojourn in a remote Kurdish village. An unusual feature of the movie is that many of the characters are heard but not seen. At least 13 to 14 speaking characters in the film are never seen. Irreverent city engineer Behzad comes to a rural village in Iran to keep vigil for a dying relative. In the meanwhile, the film follows his efforts to fit in the local community and how he changes his attitudes as a result. In 2001, Kiarostami and his assistant Saifullah Samadian traveled to Kampala, Uganda at the request of the United Nations International Fund for Agricultural Development to film a documentary about programs assisting Ugandan orphans. He stayed for 10 days and made ABC Africa. The following year, Kiarostami directed 10, revealing an unusual method of filmmaking and abandoning many scriptwriting conventions. Kiarostami focused on the socio-political landscape of Iran. The images are seen through the eyes of one woman as she drives through the streets of Tehran for several days. A.O. Scott in the New York Times wrote that Kiarostami, in addition to being perhaps the most internationally admired Iranian filmmaker of the past decade, is also among the world masters of automotive cinema. He understands the automobile as a place of reflection, observation, and above all, talk. In the same year, Kiarostami published a book entitled Walking with the Wind, which contains his haiku poems with Harvard University Film Archive Press. In 2003, Kiarostami directed 5, a poetic feature with no dialogue or characterization. Jeff Andrew argues that the film is more than just pretty pictures. In 2005, Kiarostami contributed to Tickets, a portmanteau film set on a train traveling through Italy. The other segments were directed by Ken Loach and Ermanno Olmi. In 2008, Kiarostami directed Shirin, a movie in which women's expressions are captured as they watch Khosrow and Shirin, a 12th century Persian play staged by Kiarostami, revealing their reactions to the unseen narrative. The film has been described as a compelling exploration of the relationship between image, sound, and female spectatorship.
فلک جز عشق محرابی ندارد، جهان بی خاک عشق آبی ندارد. کسی که از عشق خالی شد فسرده است گرش، صد جان بود بی عشق مرده است. ز سوز عشق بهتر در جهان چیست که بی او گل نخندید، ابر نگریست.
In 2010, Certified Copy, starring Juliette Binoche, was made in Tuscany and was Kiarostami's first film to be shot and produced outside Iran.
Copy itself has worth in that it leads us to the original and in this way certifies its value. And I believe this approach is not only valid in art. I was particularly pleased when a reader recently told me that he found in my work an invitation to self-inquiry, to a better understanding of the self.
James Miller, a middle-aged British writer, goes to Tuscany to promote his latest book. He meets a young woman who later takes him to another village. They sit in a cafe, and while there, a chance question reveals something deeper. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian describes the film as an intriguing oddity and said Certified Copy is the deconstructed portrait of a marriage acted with well-intentioned fervor by Juliette Binoche, but persistently baffling, contrived, and often simply bizarre, a highbrow misfire of the most peculiar sort. This movie was entered in competition for the Golden Palm in the 2010 Cannes Film Festival, and Binoche won the Best Actress Award at Cannes for her performance in this film.
I'd just like to say this is very, very sad to have lost this incredible artist, but also, maybe more than anyone I can think of, Abbas Kiarostami really represented the fact that ideas and human expression are so much stronger than authority, than money, than guns, than prisons. And although it's so tragic to lose him, when we see what he gave us, it is remarkable.
Meanwhile, Kiarostami published several books as well. During these years, Kiarostami had grown an interest and respect for Japan and its culture. So in 2012, he went to Japan to direct his next movie, Like Someone in Love.
こんばんは。
すいません、さっきなんて言ってたんですか？
コートを脱いであそこにかけてって言ったんだよ。
でもまだ寒いから大丈夫。
そう？ずっと待ってたんだよ。座って。ね。
میگم که چطوری اینو پیدا کردم. اول سراغ بازیگرای مشهور کهنسال ژاپنی رفتم. طبیعتا همشون رو دیدم. پرشون آقای ناکاداهه بود که حتما میشناسیش. اون گفت با کمال میل حاضر بازی بکنه، ولی یه جمله به من گفت که تو حافظم مونده و گفتش که من 50 سال جلوی دوربین استادان سینمای ژاپن بودم، به جلوی اونا همه از من میخواستن که من بازی کنم و من به بازی کردن عادت دارم، چجور از من توقع داری که جلوی دوربین تو بازی نکنم؟ ناچار من رفتم سراغ آدمای تو خیابون و همیشه این کاری کردم، بازیگرای خودم تو خیابون پیدا کردم، ولی مطلقاً با ژاپنیا این یک شوخی بد تلقی میشه. اون چنان واکنششون هم عجیب بود که اصلاً انتظار نداشتن کسی تو خیابون به اونا همچی پیشنهادی بده. بنابراین دیدم این کاری این راه پیش نمیره. دیگه رفتم سراغ سیاه لشکرها اکسترا. این سن و سال حدود بیش از 100 نفر رو دیدم. این آقایی که دیدین گفتش که من 50 ساله که من اینو پسندیدم، گفت 50 ساله که تو سینمام، ولی تا حالا در نقش سیاه لشکر بودم یه جمله هم نگفتم. گفتم تو نقش که داریم تو 1.5 صفحه رو باید حفظ کنی، اگر میتونی گفت بده من سعی میکنم. و این حدود وسطای فیلم بود که تازه فهمیده بود که کلاه سرش گذاشتیم و یه چیز دیگه به مترجم گفته بود که به من از اول راست نگفت، به من گفته بود 1.5 صفحه ولی من قبول نمی‌کردم.
In Tokyo, sociology student Akiko moonlights as a high-end prostitute. Her jealous boyfriend Noriaki is suspicious but does not know about her work. One night, she is assigned to Takashi, an elderly former university professor who is more interested in making her dinner than having sex. The morning after, Takashi drives Akiko to school for her exams. While waiting in the car for her, he encounters Noriaki, who assumes Takashi is her grandfather and asks permission to marry her. In the end, Noriaki finds out the truth. He beats Akiko and attacks Takashi's house. In 2016, Kiarostami started a movie that he could never finish. He started to make 24 frames, and in the middle, he was hospitalized and died due to medical errors.